And we're live. Hi, welcome everybody. So nice to see you here today. Great for you to join our growth storytelling masterclass here at StoryLab AI live on LinkedIn. We're going to get right into it. Let's get started. So, the main question we're going to be answering today is when everybody in the whole wide world, everybody in the marketing space, anybody in your space of operations, so whatever your market is, whatever your niche is, when everybody is using AI copy generators, how are you going to make the difference? How are you going to stand out from the noise, right? And for anybody that hasn't really grasped yet exactly what we're talking about, I'm going to let you watch this really quick video because our people at South Park did not disappoint once again. And so check this out to get a sense of what we're looking at.
Wendy just came up to me and was acting all hurt because she thinks I don't care about her. Uh-huh. When she said that she wishes I would reply to her text the way that Clyde responds to Bebe, so, how do you do it? Chat GPT, dude. Chat GPT? Yeah, dude. There's a bunch of apps and programs you can subscribe to that use OpenAI to do all your writing for you. People use them to write poems, write job applications, but what they're really good for is dealing with chicks. Here, check it out. There's tons of Chat GPT apps for your phone. So then I can take whatever latest dumb thing Bebe texted me, I copy it, then I open the GPT app, click respond to, paste her text here, hit write, it just thinks for a second. You would look great with any length of hair, trying a new look could be fun. Copy that into messages and send it off. It's super easy and convenient, and it saves me a ton of time because she texts me so goddamn much. Jesus Christ! I probably won't do it, but thanks for being supportive. Cut, paste, write, cut, messages, paste, send. There.
And there you have it. So, what is this actually showing us, right? Well, what this is showing us, according to us, is that the AI revolution is right here. It's not a question anymore of is it already coming? When is it going to be here? Is it going to impact our lives directly? It already is, and it already has. If you yourself haven't been using AI copy generators or other AI content creating tools yet, trust that a lot of your marketing colleagues and or competitors definitely already have. If you've got kids, it's very likely that they maybe not be using it exactly as Clyde in the South Park example has, but there have been reports already that a lot of kids ranging from primary school to college level are starting to use ChatGPT and other copy generating AI tools to do their homework for them, to create essays. So the question is not, is it already coming? When is it coming? The question is, it's already here. Where do we want to take it? And where do we want it to take us? So, we had already sent you a quiz to start off. You open up your learning experience for this masterclass today. But just a quick check. You can drop your answers in the chat if you're live with us right now. If not, take the time to ponder this question for yourself really quick. What are you hoping to learn today? Is that A, how to most efficiently use AI to write your copy for you? B, how to use AI to help you write better, more effective stories? Or C, other, namely, and here obviously you elaborate on your own answer. So take a second to answer that question for yourself, think about it, and then we're going to get right into it. All right, so let's go. What to expect in this 90-minute masterclass? We're going to tackle a lot of topics here, so it's important for us to start off with letting you know what we're actually going to cover, so you have an idea of what to expect, and so you can place it better in the frame of your mind. So first off, we're in the middle of the intro right now, and we're going to dive into some current and future trends on marketing, storytelling, and AI. And we're going to briefly touch on ethics as well, which we feel is very, very important. Next, to answer the question, how are you going to stand out from the noise in a tidal wave, a growing tidal wave of content? We're going to talk about growth storytelling as a vision and approach to brand building, demand generation, and content creation and content marketing. We're going to talk about principles, strategies, and tactics for storytelling that you can apply to your content marketing strategy. Now, once you've got the basics of how to approach content marketing, how to approach marketing at all in the space that we're moving toward, and how to tell better stories, we're going to expand on that and add to that by helping you to write smarter with AI. So, how to tell great stories faster with the help of AI. That will be section 3 of this masterclass and presentation. Fourth, we're going to see how, after you've set up your storytelling strategy and when you figured out how to tell great stories, we're going to see, if you've got those stories now, how can you expand your reach and growth. And that's all about getting your story seen, heard, felt, and acted on by enough of the right people, or the maximum amount of the right people, the people that are right for you and your company. 5, finally, we're going to dive into a quick live demo of growth storytelling with StoryLab AI. So that's our own AI generation platform. And after that, we're going to wrap up and send you on your merry way. Let's get it. Oh, right. Before we get into it, because we're going to be covering a lot of ground, I think it's really valuable for us to give you the key takeaways beforehand. So the main questioning we're answering here today is, how are you going to stand out from the noise in a growing, partly AI-generated tidal wave of content? And the 3 main points I'm hoping you're going to take away after this is, first, by continuously improving your storytelling, or your human storytelling, through the application of proven and really powerful growth storytelling principles and techniques. Secondly, by intelligently combining human power with AI power in the specific parts of the content creation process where each will be able to shine. And remember that prompt engineering, which we'll touch on a little bit in this presentation, actually means the exact same thing as thinking strategically about your story. We'll get into that way more as we continue with this presentation. Third, you're going to stand out from the noise by, 1, continuously improving your storytelling. 2, intelligently combining human and AI power. And 3rd, by strategically positioning and distributing the content or the stories that you have finally designed and created. So with that being said, last thing I wanted to share with you is that this presentation obviously is presented to you by StoryLab AI. I myself am one of the 3 founding partners in StoryLab AI, and what we're trying to create, and what we believe we are creating, is the growth storytelling workshop of the future. So our promise at StoryLab is, we get it. You're a marketer, you need more content, better stories, faster. We can help you get there, and we help you become a better storyteller along the way. Let me just leave it at that for now. Later on in the presentation, we'll dive into a live demo of the platform, but you'll get to understand more about us and our story as we go through this presentation today. So let's start off with the intro. For context, we're going to talk about marketing, storytelling, and AI copy generators. And we're going to take a quick look at the history and at the current and future trends and ethics. So where do you begin? Well, we could begin at the true beginning. And that is the fact, when we're talking about storytelling, content, marketing, the true beginning is the fact that humans have been telling stories for thousands of years, since the beginning of our recollection, of our history, of our coming into being even as a species. According to some and according to us, it's one of the qualities that make us human in the first place. And if you've read Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, or even Homo Deus, Yuval Noah Harari being one of the, foremost and definitely most influential historians and definitely thinkers of our times, according to him, our storytelling capability as human beings, as a human species, is a defining quality for us. And it's also a defining quality for our evolution and our growth to being the relatively dominant species that we are on this planet today. And that's a really important point to remember. Storytelling is one of the qualities that make us human in the first place, and it's one of the qualities that has helped us to evolve to the point where we are now. It can also help us evolve to the next phase of our evolution, and the question to us is, what do we want that process to look like? So, from the beginning of time, humans have been telling stories. Marketers have ran with that and started creating content. And we can say that marketers started creating content before or after 1996, but the fun part is that in 1996, at a banquet or buffet or some seminar of journalists, the coin, the phrase creating content or marketing content was actually coined. So that's why we say since 1996 we've been creating content, and as a result of that, we're now all swimming in it. So if content is already flooding the internet, and it definitely is, right? Then it's also frustrating creators and marketers because there's never enough content, and the content we do produce is never effective enough. How do we get our stuff seen by enough of the right people? And we know this. We know this from our own personal experience. We know this from talking to marketing colleagues of ours, people in our networks. And we know this from a lot of research that's been going on and on the last few years, showing again and again that not having enough quality content is one of the top priorities, top problems of marketers in this day and age. So add to that now that AI can now write stories and create content almost as good as, but much faster than human beings. And when we say almost as good as, I'm not even sure that that's the case right now, because with GPT-4, what you see right now, and I saw a clip the other day of Jordan Peterson, another fairly prominent thinker in our day and age, saying that what GPT 3.5 or 3 was already doing actually is creating content, creating copy at a level that a lot of grad students, university students would find difficult to match that quality. And with GPT-4 now, what we're seeing is it's passing the bar exam in the US at a really, really high rate. So it's getting really smart in the sense that it can write really, really well, almost as good as, or we might even say as good as, and sometimes better than human beings, even trained human beings. So that's an interesting development. According to Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, generative AI, as a consequence, will likely cause the loss of potentially millions of jobs. However, it will also create potentially millions of new jobs. So that's also really interesting. What we're talking about is definitely a tidal shift in the times that we're living in, and it's gonna have even far greater consequences for the reality of our life as people in business, in society, and specifically in marketing. And it's up to us to figure out what we want to do with that and how we're going to work with that. Now, quick question to you guys once again. If you're live with us, please drop your answer in the chat. If you're watching this recorded version of the session, please take a minute to ponder these questions and maybe write down your answer just for fun's sake, right? So, what do you expect in the near future? How much of online content will be created by AI, according to you? Is that A, you think that up to 30% of online content will be created by AI in the near future? Is that B, you expect 55%, so a little bit more than half of online content to be created by AI? Or option C, do you even expect that upwards of 90% of online content will be created by and or with the help of AI? So take a second to ponder that question. And let's go look at what the projections are. And the projections are, according to experts interviewed by journalist Nina Schick for her book Deepfakes: The Coming Infopocalypse, is that an estimate of 90% of content may be produced by AI as soon as the year 2026. Now that's staggering to me. Although, if you realize that the estimate for 2022 was already that 30% of content online was created by or with the help of AI, and that 40 or so percent of American marketers self-reported to already have played around and worked with AI content creation. So imagine that in 2022, with an estimated 30% of online content being generated by or with the help of AI. That means if there were approximately 1.88 billion websites online, that means that about 600 million websites, or the equivalent of 600 million websites, have been created by or with the help of AI as soon as the year that we've already passed. I think that's amazing. I would like to hear from you guys how you feel about that. If you'd like, you could add that in the chat. So with that tidal wave of content created in the market and created with AI, so it's a growing tidal wave. How will you stand out from the noise? As we said, this is the main question that we're trying to answer today. And this is our answer. And if we summarize it, it's you're going to make the difference with human authenticity, uh, ethically used, and intelligently combined with tech. Now, what does that mean? When we talk about human authenticity in this context, what we mean is that as a consequence of the, you could say, onslaught of more and more content, more and more marketing messaging being shot out into the uh, uh, culture, into the internet, people being inundated with content, what we see, and we see this in trend research, is that humans, people, us, we are continuously looking for more truth, real purpose, real connection, authentic knowledge, understanding, and real value. And we see this in the same research that tells us that currently we see that employee advocacy or team storytelling can increase your reach on social media by 561%. And if you follow the link in the slide deck that will be provided to you after this masterclass, you can actually read about the research that is showing that, which it also shows that organic reach from company profiles has been dropping over the last few years and is expected to continue to do so for a while. So what that shows is that truly humans will continue to seek out human authenticity, human connection, preferably from other humans and preferably ones they know. What do we mean by ethics and why is it important? From the same research that basically shows that people are looking for more purpose, more truth, and true human connection, we can also see that both consumers and potential employees or business partners are increasingly looking for ethical businesses to partner with, to work with, or to buy from. So what we see is that the zeitgeist is changing, and people are finding it more and more important that you have a purpose as a business or as a personal brand, that you stand for something, and that the way you do what you do is aligned with that purpose, and that you also take responsibility. So take responsibility socially, take responsibility environmentally, and take responsibility in the way that you actually use tech to advance your business goals and do your marketing. So Gartner, for instance, is projecting that by 2025, 70% of enterprise CMOs will identify accountability for ethical AI in marketing among their top concerns. Finally, we want human connection, human authenticity, and ethics intelligently combined with tech. So what do we mean by that? We mean to say is that be smart and figure out what do humans do best, what can you do best, and what can the technology do best, and combine it in a smart and effective way. Because that's where you create the magic. And we'll get into that a lot more in the course of this presentation, and you'll see exactly what we mean. Now, we've had a brief look at the history and the current trends and some ethical concerns around storytelling, content marketing, and the upcoming tidal wave of AI generated or partially AI generated copy content. Our question has been, how are you going to stand out from the noise with all that going on? Well, our vision is that if you apply growth storytelling as an approach to brand building, content marketing, and demand generation, that's going to help you combine human storytelling, human authenticity with the potential that the tech is bringing us in the smartest way. So in the next segment of the presentation, we're going to go into growth storytelling. We're going to talk about principles, strategies, and tactics for storytelling and for actually a new approach to content marketing. You ready? Let's get into it. Okay, so a question that's been plaguing a lot of marketers, and as we said, we know this from our own personal experience talking to people in the market, and we know this from the research that is being shared on these topics the last few years. How do we create better content faster? And how do we reach the maximum number of people with it? And these are great questions to ask yourself as a marketer, but we think that this is a better one. How can we tell more and better stories and share them more effectively, potentially share them more effectively as a team? These are the questions that we at StoryLab have been asking ourselves for a little over a decade now, with our combined 30 plus years of experience in storytelling, brand, demand, and growth. Well, what did we come up with? The vision that we're actually building is to help you shift shift your approach to marketing, which will shift your results. And remember, these are actually tactics and strategies and shifts that we've implemented in companies that we worked with, and worked for, and that we've also implemented in the building of StoryLab AI, which amazingly has grown to over 55,000 marketers trusting us and giving us a shot and trying out our platform. Thanks to a lot of the stuff that we're going to be sharing with you very shortly. So the shift that we're talking about is the shift from demand generation, which has been getting a lot of attention in the especially the B2B and SaaS marketing space. We're going to shift from demand generation to conversation creation, and we're going to get later on in the masterclass. We're going to get into what that actually means. We're going to shift from employee advocacy, which we know to be very, very important, but also we know it to be fairly challenging for marketers to get it right. And we're going to switch that approach, and we're going to switch the way we call that from employee advocacy to something like team storytelling or shared growth storytelling. And lastly, and that's the main part that we're going to get into in a second, is we're going to switch your vision and approach from content marketing to growth storytelling. And I'm really happy to share with you in a second what that actually means. So what is growth storytelling? Growth storytelling is a vision and approach for brand storytelling and content marketing that focuses on where your growth goals and growth story as a company, and the growth story and the growth goals of your people and the goals of your audience and potential customers align. So to give you a quick idea of what I mean by that, growth storytelling, it means that you as a company, you as a brand, you are not one fixed thing. You are a thing that is in motion. It is evolving and growing, hopefully. The same applies to the people that work in or for your company, or the people that you partner with and work with as a company. And thirdly, the same applies also to the people you're trying to help, your potential customers, your audience. So all of these people are not dots on a graph. They're lines on a graph where they start at some point. You find them at a certain point, but they're also moving toward a certain point. So that is the story of your brand, of the people that you work with and the people that you work for. And what growth storytelling is actually trying to do is to align those growth stories together in such a way that it advances the growth of all of the parties involved. And once you start looking at your content strategy and your content creation processes from that perspective, you'll really see some things start to shift. So let's show you what we mean a little bit more. What you see here is a visual representation of the growth storytelling model. By the way, this model is especially for the visual part, inspired by the Bamboo growth hacking agency's model for continuous value creation. So if you Google that, Boo growth hacking agency, they're based in Amsterdam, great guys. They created a model for thinking about and building up your processes for product design and growth hacking. And that's another story for another day. What we're focusing on right now is the growth storytelling model. And what this model actually does is it shows you how to align what your brand stands for and what your brand story actually does and means, and what your customers or audience stands for and what their goals are and what their story is. So what you see, if you look at the model, if you look on the left-hand side, you see the brand circle. And this is all about figuring out who are we, what is our story, what are our goals. Now, if you go over to the right-hand side, you see the market circle. And this is about your customer, your audience, and figuring out their story and their goals. And then the middle circle, as you can see, combines those two stories, those two segments, those two circles, in a problem, solution, result structure. And that structure is actually what we're going to be using to align the growth goals and growth story of us as a brand and the growth goals and growth story of our audience and potential customers in both the product or services that we design, problem, solution, results, as well as the stories we tell about that product or those services. Again, in the structure of problem, solution, result, as you'll find out in a minute. So where do you start, right? So as I already mentioned, growth storytelling starts with figuring out your story, figuring out the story, the identity, the core of what your brand is about. And The canvas that you see here on the right-hand side of the screen is the Brand Growth Story Canvas, which is a tool that you can get for free at the website storylab.ai. Once again, if you finish the masterclass, you will be sent a slide deck file of the slides that you're actually looking at right now. And what you see in the right-hand bottom corner, the Read More box, if you click that in the slide deck, it would actually lead you to a resource where you can find more about the resource we're talking about here. So in this case, the Brand Growth Story Canvas. It'll explain more about how to use it, and it'll actually allow you to download it completely free without leaving us with your contact information. So, and what does it mean to figure out your story, right? Figuring out who you are. It's about who are you and what is your purpose? What do you want to change in the world? It's about who are you here for and defining that fairly clearly, figuring out their needs and goals. It's about figuring out what the problem is that you're actually solving and being able to describe that in a clear and concise and at the same time appealing way. You want to think about the value that you bring. What do you do? What's unique about it? What is the result that you help people get? And finally, you want to think about also what are your strategic goals? Because that helps you figure out, but also it helps you tell the story of where your growth story is actually leading you towards the future. Now, the next step after figuring out who you are in growth storytelling is figuring out who your audience is, figuring out their story, what they need, what they want to achieve. There are many, many ways to do that, but the primary and most important way is to actually ask them. The Strategizer Value Proposition Canvas is a great tool to think about product market fit for your products and services, as well as for your content. If you look at the right-hand circle of the model, and some of you might already be familiar with it, some of you may not. If you follow the link under Strategizer Value Proposition Canvas in the slide deck that you'll receive later, you can actually go to the site and the Strategizer site, find more information about this canvas and how to use it and download it. But if you look at the graphic of the model, you see that on the right-hand side is all about your customer. And that part of this canvas really helps you hone in, especially if you actually do it together with actual people from your prospective audience or potential customers, to figure out what are their worries, what are their needs, what makes them happy. And it's really important to figure this out, because that's the basis, together with knowing who you are, to being able to create a successful product, a successful brand, a successful business, and to create successful content. Okay, so let's say I have it all figured out, right? We figured out who we are, where we want to go. We figured out, we did the exercise with the brand growth story canvas, and figured out the story of our audience and our potential customers. So from there on out, how do we create a great story? We do that by using proven, powerful storytelling techniques. And the ones we're going to be touching on today, because we can't touch on all of them, are 3 parts, 5 principles, and a 7-point strategic storytelling structure. These are going to be really helpful. And by the way, guys, like I said, we're going to be touching on prompt engineering a little bit. And I want to tease that a little bit right now by saying that prompt engineering is, in our view, is only the AI copy generator bubble way of saying thinking strategically about what you want to say, right? Thinking strategically about the content or the story that you're about to create. What are your goals with this story? Who is the audience you're trying to serve with this story? And so on and so forth. So as we go through, as we've been talking about growth storytelling just now, and as we go on to talking about the ways to create a great story and the principles and tactics for that, we're actually practicing thinking about how to actually create great stories. And then at the same time, we're practicing, okay, so how to think about the prompt that I'm going to give an AI when I start working with it to create this content, right? All right, so let's go. First off, why is storytelling important at all, right? Because we came here to figure out how to write more copy, write better copy faster with the help of AI. And we're saying, no, but you need to figure out how to tell better stories. So why is storytelling important? Well, the following clip, I think, makes it clear in a pretty fun way what happens when a person is not too good at telling a story.
Hey, guess what? What happened? Guess what happened yesterday? My friend, he wasn't there, but he told me that his friend found a rock, and the rock was in the creek, but the not the creek, the river. But he found a rock that had a happy face on it, and then he said that he found the rock happy face. He said that it was blue.
So this, I forgot to mention, this is actually a father that is telling his daughter a story in the way his daughters usually tell him a story. So from that experience, you can totally get right that as we all know and love, and have come to expect from small children, is that they often have not yet learned what the structure of a story is and how to tell a good story. And what you see is that they don't know where they're going with the story, and they haven't figured out what their goal is actually in sharing the story at all, or what the value of it might be for you, right? And it's funny, but it also serves as a really great example for what can go wrong with your content and your copy if you forget to think about the same things, right? So that's why this is important. Now, next question: what is a story? A story, the best way to define a story, and there's a lot of definitions that you can find. One I really like, by the way, is the archetypal hero's journey that segments a story up into 3, 4, and 12 different segments that you can see coming back over time across cultures in all types of story media and so on and so forth. But the nicest, shortest, and sweetest way to define what a story is, according to us, is a story is this: it's a transformational sequence of events with a beginning, a middle, and an end, in which, in the beginning, a certain tension is built, and then through the middle and the end, that tension is then resolved. And this is the structure, the basic structure of a story, and the basic structure to present information with, to communicate to other people, that helps them to make sense of it, to understand it in the first place, to then be able to retain it, to remember it, to be able to be inspired to want to share it, to tell other people about the story, and or to want to take action on it. And that's what you want to. That's why storytelling is so important within the context of creating copy or doing anything in the marketing space and in business. So let's stop for a second and take a few minutes to think about why do we use storytelling in business. So once again, if you're following this live, you can drop your answer to this question, A, B, C, or D, uh, in the chat. And if not, just take a second to consider these options. Why do we use storytelling in business? Is that A, to help give structure to our communications? Is that B, to be able to convince more people? So to be more convincing because we're telling a story? Is that C, to have our message be remembered better? Or is that D, to help force us as content creators, copywriters, to be more concise because we have to make choices, right? What to include, what not to include in the story. So take a second to ponder your answer to this question. If you're joining us live, maybe feel free to add a couple lines as to elaborate on your answer. And let's move on. So what is the actual purpose of storytelling when you're using that in your communication and when you're using that in marketing? Well, the purpose of storytelling actually is to structure your thoughts and feelings around a given topic. And if we stop there, that's fairly important to mention that using a storytelling structure actually helps you understand your own thoughts and feelings around a given topic first. And that's crucial. That's really important. And next, you do that in such a way that it helps you communicate and connect to other people, enabling yourself and the other to reach a certain goal. Let's talk about structure. So, as we've seen, the basics of what a story means, what a story is it has a certain structure. And there are several levels to this. Uh, And right now, we're going to start at the two most basic levels of that structure. So, level one is the beginning, middle, and end. And this is something that we all recognize, we all know, even from when you are actually a toddler. You can recognize the structure in a basic story that's told to you because your parents are reading a book or because you're watching a cartoon. Now, the next level is in that beginning, we're going to talk about a need, or a problem. In the middle section, we often want to see the solution. And in the end, we want to see the result, the resolution of tension, the solving of the problem. And this is important to keep into account, keep in the back of your head whenever you're creating any kind of communication for any goal, for anyone. A great example of this, in my view, is, and this is going to be fun for the anime heads that are joining this class today, is the Dragon Ball Z first saga, which is the Saiyan saga. So for those of you who don't know this, might also be very fun. So how does the story unfold, right? In the beginning of the story, Goku, our protagonist, our hero, is chilling on planet Earth with his buddies, his friends, his family, and they're having a jolly old time, practicing their martial art moves, eating a lot of food, and hanging out with their friends and family. Now, in Act 2, in the middle, they're faced with a threat. The Saiyans are actually coming to Earth, and the Saiyans are this incredibly powerful and vile and violent race of aliens that have a reputation for destroying planets and every living thing on them. Now, how are Goku and his friends going to stop them? This is actually the ending of the beginning section. Now we're going to the middle. And in the middle, we follow Goku and his buddies a little bit in trying to figure out how are they going to solve their problem, how are they going to fight the Saiyans and save planet Earth. At the end, of course, as in all great stories, the heroes win, bad guys lose, and peace and order is restored to the kingdom. And actually, as in most great stories, with that equilibrium state, that resolution of tension in the end, there's already a next challenge looming. And that's also a really great thing to remind yourself of when you're telling stories in general. So now we've got the basic structure of what makes a story good. But how do you make a good story great? Well, turns out from research, from people who figure out how great books are written, how great scripts are written for film, or how great presenters structure their talks. There's 5 principles to take into account. And these are the 5 principles. 1, you want to tell your story, or you want to write with calm confidence. And that calm confidence comes with preparation. So thinking ahead and knowing ahead what you're going to say and what you're not going to say. Authenticity, telling your story as you are and speaking to what you know. And 3rd, structure. So structure really helps with giving you the calm confidence. So the fact that this presentation has been set up in a certain structure makes it really easy for me to tell the story without having to think in between, because I can just follow the structure that I've already premeditated and set up together with my team. 2nd, write or tell your story to be understood. And this takes into account a couple of things. One thing is that it takes into account that you have to know your audience, because to be understood, you have to understand their level of knowledge and the world that they inhabit. What are their goals? What are their needs, etc. Other useful things to make sure you're understood when you're telling your story is keep it simple, keep it short. So don't make it longer than it necessarily has to be. Don't use longer words or longer sentences, paragraphs, and so on. Keep it short and simple. Principle number 3, you want to write or tell your story in such a way that it's going to be remembered. Structure helps, but what also really helps here is to use emotion, use sensory words, and use a relatable main character. And by sensory words, what we mean is these are words that elicit something like a picture, or something that people can see, hear, feel, smell. So these are words like orange, words like duck, words like punch in the gut. These are things that elicit a picture, a sensory information picture in the mind of your listener or viewer or reader, that then helps bring them into an emotional state where memory in the human brain, is always tied to emotion. 4, write to surprise. It's important to know your audience once again, and it's important to tell them something new, because this is telling a person something new makes the brain light up. You can see this in brain scans. Research has shown this. And this does not mean that you need to be looking for this really newsworthy new fact necessarily, or that you need to come up with a brilliant plot twist. All it needs is for you to know what your audience knows and what you're bringing to the table that they don't know, or how you're going to tell them something that they already know in a new way. So help them look at something in a new way. That also counts as new. Fifth and last principle is right to inspire action. The best stories, the best movies, the best blog articles, social videos, whatever you want to create, the best ones inspire people to take action. And why do I say best? Because, as we said, the purpose of storytelling is to structure your thoughts and feelings in such a way that it helps you and or the other person to advance their goals. And what does that usually entail? It means that they're going to have to do something. It means that they're going to have to take action. And that's why the best ones write to inspire action, or are told to inspire action. And one thing that you can do to help nudge that effect is to tell your audience explicitly and concretely what they can do next. So what we're talking about here, for those of you that have a little experience in marketing, copy, and content creation, is we want to give them a clear call to action, or CTA. Once again, you see the little orange box in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Once you receive the slide deck, if you click on that box, it will lead you to the resource that explains these principles and the storytelling structures with a little bit more space and time. So before you feel that in business and in marketing, you need to start everything with, okay, so once upon a time, or I have this really fun anecdote, this one day, or I was speaking. No. Sometimes you can use that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because it's not the right context for that. What storytelling for marketing purposes does mean is that you keep basic structures and principles in mind when creating content and presenting information. Now, to help you do that, we actually created the 7-point strategic storytelling structure. And we added in brackets beneath that for prompt engineering, because going through this canvas not only helps you write a better story much faster by hand. So if you use this canvas, for a lot of people, this cuts writing time by about half. It also helps you figure out what to feed the AI that you're using for your content creation, if you actually are at that point in your career, in your process. So the storytelling canvas, the 7-point strategic storytelling structure, helps you first think about the subject you're writing about. Second, think about what are your goals. So what are your higher order strategic goals, but also what are your goals with this specific story? Next, it asks you, who are you writing for and what are their needs? So who's your audience? Get into their mind space. Fourth, what is the main thought, but also what is the main feeling that I want to express around the topic that I want to talk about? 5, what is my hook to make it relevant? What is an interesting new fact, a statistic, or a cool and engaging anecdote that I can share with people to draw them into the story and keep them listening, viewing, or reading? And 6, what are the 3 supporting thoughts that I want to add? No more than 3, no 4, no 5, just 3. That way it forces you to really think hard about what is important for me to share and what's not. And as you can see, I hope you can see it on your screen, what the storytelling canvas does is also suggest that you order those 3 thoughts in the beginning, middle, end, and in the need, solution, result structure that we've already talked about. 7, and finally, what is my call to action? Now, once again, if you click the orange box in the right-hand corner of your screen on the slide deck, once you've received it, you'll be led to a resource on our website that talks a little bit more about the storytelling structure and the storytelling canvas and how to use it. And it also allows you to download it completely for free. As I mentioned, we're going to get into prompt engineering a little bit more, but what we're doing here when we're talking about and thinking about the strategic structure for a story, we're actually working on the engineering of our prompt. So that means that you can actually use the storytelling canvas as a little tool to help you set up the prompt for your AI copy generator when you get ready to start using that. One last pointer. How do we hook people in? Because it's great to have a great story set up. It's great to have thought about that a little deeper than maybe you otherwise would. And it's great to figure out a great structure for your story and then to write it or help, write it with the help of AI copy generator. But how do you hook people in? Because it's really, really a waste of time of doing all that, but then not being able to draw people's attention and draw them into your story. So how do you hook people in? A great story actually hooks people in with a great headline. And there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of information on the internet and even actually on our website about how to create a good headline. But these are some really simple points for you to keep in mind whenever you're trying to create a great headline that going to help you be effective 80%, 85% of the time. So a great headline tells the reader quickly and clearly, 1, what this story is about, 2, who this story is for, and 3, what the promise is. So what am I going to get? How are you going to solve my pain or my problem? What is the end result I'm going to get? And 2 extra pointers. One is add your keywords at the beginning, not so much towards the end of your headline. What this means as well, you can look at the example of this actual masterclass that you're looking at right now. So what we called it was Growth Storytelling and AI Copywriting Masterclass. That tells you in the first 4 words exactly what this is about. 2, who this story is for. The tagline of our masterclass was get ready for the future of content marketing. That's not telling you literally who this is for, but it's definitely applying very clearly that this is for marketers, people invested in marketing and invested in growing their business. 3, what the promise is, what you're going to get. Well, in this case, a masterclass, implying that you're going to learn a lot of important basic information about storytelling, specifically in the context of marketing and growth. And you're going to learn how to improve that with the help of AI copy generators. So use keywords at the beginning. Another pointer, use power words. What are power words? These are words that have some magical power over people, that they attract their eyes and tickle them to want to look at your story more so than other words. An example of these are things like you, we, why, growth, things like this. So use power words. By the way, if you look at our website, you can find more information about power words there. Second pointer, spend about half of your writing time on creating a few versions for your headline and use the best one. So if let's say you're writing a blog post, right? And let's say you're doing it by hand. If you're using the 7-point strategic storytelling structure, you can literally do that in about 15 minutes for the draft. And then we advise you to spend about 15 minutes also thinking about great versions for your headline. And this is one of the places where AI copy generators really come in handy to come up with those versions and cut your story writing content creation time even to a smaller degree. Now, we've covered a lot of ground already, and we've covered the basics of what growth storytelling means as a different approach or as a higher order approach to content marketing. We've covered the importance of telling a great story in whatever communication you're building, and we've covered how to actually create a great story. So what is the structure you need to keep in the back of your mind, and what are some principles that you need to keep in mind? Now, let's assume that you've grasped all that perfectly and you know how to apply it. Now, how are we going to make the process smarter and make you an even better writer, more effective copy creator with the help of AI? So how to write more and better stories faster with the help of AI copy generators is what this next section is about. First, let's get our expectations clear. What to expect and what not to expect from an AI copy assistant. Well, for one, AI copy assistants are really, really good at coming up with ideas and doing that super, super fast. Second, AI copy generators can create decent, or even much more than decent, human-sounding copy, indistinguishable for the vast majority of people from human-written content, and they can do it at lightning speeds. That's super. What AI copy assistants, even the ones based on GPT-4, cannot do is they cannot think. See, this is a thing that a lot of people don't necessarily understand. AI copy generators are often based on natural language processing models. They're often based on statistical analysis. So what these models do and how these models are created is they feed these models tons and tons and tons of real life data. In this case, written content, and they let the machine go analyze, go learn, and go play by itself, telling it, make sure you understand what the patterns are in this massive pile of data we've given you. So what the machine is actually training itself to do is to understand the patterns and be able to predict from a certain set of words and a certain order of words what the most likely next series of words is going to be. And that's actually the basis of how even the most advanced natural language processing units in the market right now operate. So what that means is the models don't actually understand the words that they're using. They understand the context and the network relationships between the words and how they work to the symbolic degree that they need to understand them to be able to make the prediction of what words and in what order will be the next series of words. Now, they also understand it well enough to know that in certain contexts and with certain input queries, it's important to take that into account to predict what words are going to come out. But their prediction of what the next words will be is actually what the copy is that they're giving you as output whenever you're using them. So what that means is that, like we said, AI copy assistants, large language models, can't actually think. They don't actually know what they're saying. What they, as a consequence, also cannot do is showcase your uniqueness as an individual human being, as a team, as a company, as a brand. And they can't understand humans. They can't understand you properly, really, at least not by far not the way that a human being is capable of doing. And they can't understand your target audience, your potential customers. And this is really key to keep in mind. So what that means is, what do you want to use AI copy generators for? Or what should you want to use AI copy generators for when we're talking about storytelling and content creation? These are 3 key points. 1, ideate. Don't let yourself ever get stuck on a blank page ever again. These copy generators are super at coming up with new ideas. Please use them for that whenever you get stuck, wherever you are in the process. Right? So point 1, use them for ideation. Second, variation. If you've already built something, either by yourself or with the help of the AI, it's really helpful and can be really helpful to create new versions of that so you can improve what you've already built. This is something that AI copy generators are also really, really useful for and really, really good at, and they do it super quick, much faster than even the most experienced copywriter could ever humanly do. 3, scale. Create smaller, simpler copies, such as the copy that you might want to use for a tweet or another type of social caption. The copy that you might want to use for your ad variation. So imagine you're a multiple hat marketer, or imagine you're a Google ad person, and you need to create now micro copy for ads for 10 different segments of customers and with 10 different angles each. That means 100 times a small variation in the basic same message. That can be draining to need to come up with that. I know from personal experience. I had a little bit of experience with that stuff, but I know from my coworkers and my network that it absolutely can be draining, and it can take a lot of time. Now, AI copy generators can do that for you literally in the blink of an eye. In a few minutes, you can have hundreds of variations on the same basic thing where you can toggle and tweak to use to your advantage. So, important to realize is that garbage in means garbage out. You want to give your AI tool great input. And here we're getting more so into the spheres of what people mean when they're talking about prompt engineering. So what does that mean? What does it mean to give your AI tool great input? It means, firstly, to think strategically. We've been over this. We've talked about this. What is your goal? What are you about? Who is your audience? What is their story? 2, be specific. Use the best and most clear keywords. And what we mean by best and most clear keywords is that you've done a little research on Google, talking to your network, talking to your potential audience, your customers, and figuring out what keywords hit home for them. How do they speak about the thing that you're trying to talk about? 3rd, be a samurai. Use the right tool in the right way and with the right filters. So what we mean by this is that, look, there's a ton of AI copy generator tools and platforms out there in the market right now. ChatGPT is one that springs to mind for a lot of people because it's received a lot of hype and it's amazing at doing a ton of very varied stuff. You can use it to create, marketing copy, social captions, blog posts, film scripts, essays, love letters, uh, uh, chats to your high school girlfriend, like in the South Park example. But if you want to be a samurai in the realm of marketing, maybe it could be better for you to use a tool that is specifically designed to help you create copy for marketing purposes. And whatever tool you use, select it with care, use it in the right way, and use it with the right filters. Now, a little bit about prompt engineering. Don't forget, what prompt engineering actually means is thinking strategically about the story you're about to create. If you're actually getting ready to write the prompt, write the input for the AI copy generator that you're going to use, these are three things you want to take into account. First, know what you're working towards. We've been over this. Understand your audience, understand their needs, understand your own goals. Two, specificity, clarity, and brevity in input as well as in your edit of the output. Three, select your tools with care. By the way, with task-specific generators like Storylab AIs, a lot of the prompt engineering is done for you. You can read more prompt engineering tips on OpenAI's help page, which you'll find if you follow the link in the presentation slide deck that we'll share with you shortly. So, my lovely people, please use AI copy generators and AI copy to boost your own human creativity, not to substitute it. Play with it, have fun with it, iterate, create new versions, combine what you're doing, what the AI is giving you, and edit smartly. Gary Vee approves. So, what does that mean when we talk about editing smartly? What we want you to do and what you want to maybe start to realize is that once you start using AI copy generators for tools in your content creation process, that means you're up-leveling yourself as a copywriter. You're up-leveling yourself as a marketing content creator because you are now the editor-in-chief, and the AI has become your, junior copywriting assistant. You're the editor-in-chief. You're the person that's handing out the creative brief for this campaign, for this brand, or for this specific piece of content that you need right now. You're also the person that's going to edit what your assistant comes up with, right? And once you get into the editing, here are the three things that you at least want to do is first, click test, meaning what this click for the audience I have in mind. And by click here, we mean not only would it make me want to literally click on the article, video, social post, whatever, but also does it click when I'm in the story in terms of understanding? Does it click when I'm in the story in terms of emotion, right? Does it resonate? Two, clarity and brevity. Which words, which paragraphs can be shortened, what can be left out, scratched entirely. Three, correctness, facts, grammar, and spelling. Remember, the AI copy generator tool cannot think. It does not know what it's saying. So it can't know if what it's saying is true, untrue, partially true, false. Check your facts and also check the grammar and spelling, obviously, as is good practice for any copy or content creation. So, final test, the human test. Wherever and whenever possible and sensible, use the number one, most trusted, most successful way to check your copy before you publish it. Have a friendly, smart human proofread it. Oh, I went back. I wanted to go ahead. So this is an important part of what we're trying to help you realize here is use AI to become a better writer, where you learn by doing, playing, and figuring out how to get a machine to help you tell better stories. So remember, what we're saying is once you start using AI copy generators, you're getting a junior copywriting assistant and you become the editor-in-chief. So you're up-leveling yourself. So that means you now have to teach someone what you already know, or at least the level of experience and knowledge that you have. And what we know from developmental psychology is that whenever you start to think about how to teach someone something that you know, you get to restructure your knowledge about that given topic, which then fortifies your knowledge. So you learn by teaching. This is what we want to get you to understand and get you to approach the process of creating copy and content with the help of AI copy generators. Finally, very importantly, ethics. With a lot that's going on in the market right now, and not just in business and marketing, but way, way broader than that, we think it's really important to focus on ethics. And not just because of the fact that it makes business sense with the trend of people looking for more purpose driven, more ethical companies, but also because it makes human sense, right? We're looking at an imminent possible info apocalypse. So what that means is there's going to be so much information, but also so much misinformation, disinformation, fake news, deep fakes, also with the help of AI, which all helps lead to growing polarization and a growing sense of not knowing what and who to trust and what is even real anymore. With the backdrop of that as a potential future, we really want to hold ourselves and our community accountable to the following responsibilities. First, to do and say what is right, what is true, and what helps ourselves and others grow. And that's actually our variation of the Zen Buddhist philosophy of the three gates of speech. And to two, do no intentional or avoidable harm with our knowledge, our stories, and our voice. And if you want to read more about our ethics stance, you can click the little orange box in the slide deck once you receive it and find out way more about it. So we've covered a lot, right? Let's take a minute to recap what we've covered so far. So we've talked about the history, the current trends, and a little bit about the ethics of what's going on with storytelling, content marketing, and this new tidal wave of AI copy gen that we see in the market right now. We've talked about our main question being, how are you going to stand out with your marketing copy, your marketing content in that tidal wave of partially AI generated content? Now, what we've said is that the only way to really stand out there is to think strategically about how you're going to be telling these stories and to use the human element of storytelling and human storytelling principles that are tried and tested and proven to make your stories more powerful in the way that they can help you reach your goals and the way they can help you help your audience reach their goals, right? We've gone over the storytelling principles and we've looked at, once you've mastered that, how can we actually improve our storytelling and our content creation process with the help of AI, making it faster and better. Next, once we've mastered that, is we're going to take these stories that we've created and we're going to expand the reach on the stories, because there's nothing worse than taking all that hard work and not having it have the maximum impact it can in the world and in the market. So that's what we're going to look at next in this next segment. We're talking in the fourth segment of our presentation about how to 10x your reach and growth, how to get your story seen, heard, felt, and acted on by enough of the right people. And we're going to be talking about some smart strategic distribution processes and tools. And we're going to go over these fairly quick because this is not a strategic session, but just to give you some context of how to actually use the content you're creating, but also how to think about it. So once again, thinking about the strategic use of your content and your copy is actually a part of prompt engineering. So remember the question, how can we tell more and better stories and share them more effectively, potentially as a team? Next to growth storytelling principles and tactics, it's about a good distribution strategy, framework and processes, and smart, data-driven, and human feedback loops. And what does that mean? If we go back to the growth storytelling model, right? And you remember on the left-hand side, we have the brand circle. On the right-hand side, we have the market circle. And we're trying to figure out what these stories are. And in the middle circle, we're trying to align these stories. And we create stories based on the structure of problem, solution, results. And if you look at the yellow line that's kind of squiggling through the model and the orange line, you see that that's how we start to share our story in the market. And in the lower right-hand corner, you see content marketing and data analysis, which is what actually happens in that part of the model. So that's where we share our story, and that's where we see what is actually happening, what is our market telling us about how they receive our story. Now, when thinking about this, you want to start by thinking about where do your stories live, or should your stories live, in your demand generation strategy. And once again, demand generation has been catching a lot of attention in the world, especially in the world of B2B and SaaS marketing, but it's definitely something that can be applied much, much more broadly in the marketing and business space. Now, where do your stories live in your strategy, and how to use your stories, insights, and other offerings to generate more quality leads, which is uh, oftentimes, in the sense of marketing, one of the main goals that you want to achieve. So, how do you do that? My friend and co-founder, CEO of StoryLab, Brian Cohen, actually wrote a book about this stuff because he's been thinking about this and experimenting and working and getting results over the past handful of years. He wrote a book called Improving Lead Generation for B2B SaaS marketers, and in it you can find everything about evolving from demand generation to conversation generation. This is going to help you think strategically about content and lead generation by, firstly, understanding the intent of your prospect per phase of their buyer journey. Secondly, tailoring your content offers to the intent of the buyer in that phase. Third, offer and get more conversations with your potential customers besides just the demo. Fourth, it's going to help you own the narrative and get more quality leads, proven by Brian and multiple companies to increase conversion rates in sales conversations by upwards of 100%. If you want to read more, learn more about this, go to StoryLab AI or directly to Amazon, download the book, and check it out. Now, how to start building a storytelling strategy. How do the bits and pieces come together for us and our audience? So we figured out how to create great stories. We figured out we want to approach it as a growth storytelling strategy. But how do these little bits and pieces come together? Well, one way to think about this is to use our storytelling strategy canvas. So this is the growth storytelling strategy framework, which actually helps you set up your storytelling strategy. This framework is actually also inspired by something by Bamboo, growth hacking agency from Amsterdam. Their growth model canvas helps you map out your entire growth hacking strategy or growth strategy. And when working with Bamboo and working with other customers, I sometimes like to use the growth model canvas as a broader canvas for the growth hacking strategy. But again, that's a story for another day. And then I go into the growth storytelling strategy framework to figure out what the storytelling strategy needs to be. So what this storytelling framework helps you do is it helps you map out your audience needs across the see, think, do, care phases. It helps you map your company goals and translate it to KPIs that you want to improve. It helps you translate your brand messaging to 5 or less topic areas. And then it helps you translate that messaging to post types and frequency. Finally, you can translate the whole storytelling strategy to your content calendar, where you plan and execute on actual content that you're going to send out now strategically and plan. What you do then is you create, track KPIs, iterate, adapt, and grow. Also, this storytelling strategy framework is a resource that we have a little bit more information about on our website. You can follow the link in the lower right-hand corner once you get the slide deck, and you'll be able to read more about the growth storytelling strategy framework, download it for free, and start using it for your own strategy. So we've set up our stories, we've set up our strategy, we set up our demand gen strategy and our storytelling strategy. Now, how do we make sure our stories actually get seen and engaged with by enough of the right people? This is where content distribution comes into play. Now, my good friend and co-founder at StoryLab, Raul Tiru, which is our, well, you could say CMO, head of growth marketing, says that for a lot of people, content distribution, a lot of people in the content marketing space, content distribution can be very, very daunting. So what are the 3 main things to focus on? Is 1, figure out first which channels to focus on. 2, figure out which content to focus on first. 3, distribute your content constantly over time. So what that means is don't go trying to be on all possible available channels all at the same time. This is the last thing you want to do. Second, there's some content that's going to be more important to you advancing your goals right now and to your audience. So focus on that first. And thirdly, don't just start, distributing your content and then let it die out. No, instead, set up a process where you keep constantly over time distributing your content and spreading like a wildfire in the market, or like a drop in a pond. That's probably a better metaphor, happier metaphor. So, okay, let's take a little bit more time to question. How much time do you think we should spend on distribution? Think about this for a second. If you're with us live, drop your answer in the chat. Do you think it should be A, 80% of time for content creation and 20% for distribution? Do you think B, 50% of the time for content creation and 50% of the time for distribution? Or do you think C, 30% of the time for content creation and 70 for distribution? Take your time, ponder your question. Maybe if you're with us live, you can elaborate by adding one or two sentences to your answer. Now let's see. What our stance is that you want to spend as much time on content distribution as on the creation of it. And the main reason for that is that you don't want to let your valuable, hard, and smart work go to waste. Give it the maximum chances of being seen and being effective in the market by spending as much time on the distribution as in the creation of it. To help you with that, we've actually created, or my friend, my co-founder Raul has created the content distribution framework. As you can see, this is a Google Sheet. You can read more about it on our website. And just to give you an idea of what the thing looks like. Oh, going the wrong direction again. This framework can help you set up a great distribution strategy and process. So you go to our website, you open the content distribution framework. It's also a free resource. You read about it, read about how to apply it, how to work with it. You duplicate it and create your own version, follow the steps in the document, and create your own strategy. And then don't forget, execute continuously. And the framework will actually help you do that continuously. Now, a couple last pointers. Feedback is a storyteller's best friend. So listen, look, ask questions to your data, and at least equally importantly, to your humans, the people that you know around you, your network, your potential customers. Talk to them, ask them questions. What do they need? How are they responding to your content? How are they liking it? What else do they want to hear from you about? Gary V approves. So 5, we're going to get ready to go into the live demo. This is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. How to create better marketing copy faster with the actual copy generation, how to take into account all of the things that we've learned about storytelling, about prompt engineering, about thinking strategically about this stuff, and making the processes faster with a copy generator tool like Storylab AI in this case. So let's dive in. Going over to Storylab AI. And you should be able to see my screen now. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see more of what the interface actually looks like. Now, what I'm pretty happy about to be able to show you here is that once you're in Storylab AI, so you've made an account and you've signed in, you can actually see that at the top of the screen, we're helping you to get started with a quick walkthrough video of our editor, our AI tools, and our standalone AI generators. What's also pretty cool, I think, is the resources, the free resources that we offer you right there on the screen to help you think about how to use AI marketing, for what to use it, how to use the growth storytelling framework, and how to improve lead generation with the shift to conversation generation. Now, on the left-hand side, at the top, you'll see stuff about your account. And here, you'll see some more walkthrough videos and all of the various marketing copy generators that we offer. So I'm going to show you really quick a few of the ones that people use the most. So let's go social captions. This is one that we see a lot of people using. Let's say I want to create a social caption for a LinkedIn post. And what's also really cool, I think, and I'm happy to be able to show you, is that with every generator we always have this little information bubble right here up top. And if you click it, we're always going to give you a couple of tips to keep in mind when creating your input, selecting and editing your output. So how do we create a great social media caption? You can find some information right there up top. Now, let's say I want to create something for LinkedIn. And let's say I want to create something about a live webinar about how to use copy generator tools, or actually, I mean AI copy generator tools. and it's a webinar for marketers who want to improve their content creation process, right? And take into account. Let's make that actually a little bit clearer for the AI. Webinar for marketers one. Webinar for marketers. No, I think it's actually a good way to say it. Let's say that. And let's say I want to write it in a witty style. So I put in my input. I've selected a writing style. Now I'm going to say inspire me. And what you'll see in the left-hand side is that the engine is starting to think right now. And it's talking to the OpenAI API, and it's getting back with 3 nice outputs here. Get creative with modern technology, says the first one. Join us for an exclusive webinar to learn how AI copy generator tools, yada, yada, yada. Ready to take your content creation process up a notch? So you see, these are all pretty, decent sounding social captions that we very well could have used to promote this webinar that you're watching right now. And I think it's really cool that in a couple of seconds, I have a couple of options, but if I don't like them, I just click inspire me again. And within a few seconds, once again, the AI is going to think, going to talk to OpenAI, and come back with 3 other options. And I can keep doing this over and over again, especially since I have the unlimited account. So that's how the social caption generator works. And that's how you can see that we're trying to help you think about your input here, think about how to engineer your prompt. But also, as you might have noticed, the prompt engineering is done slightly for you here, because we're selecting a platform, we're selecting a type of content before we go in. And in the input box, we're also asking you to think about what is the info about our company, what is the info about our prospect that we know, what is their problem, what is their pain, what is the solution that we're offering, etc., and so on. So this is how we try to help you think about the content you're trying to create strategically before you give us input. Now, another one that a lot of people like to use, and that's fairly important, is under blog. Oh, I'm going actually in the wrong direction. I want to say, give me an idea for a title. So I'm going to use the same input that we used for webinar for marketers about how to use AI copy generator tools. Oh, wait a second. Webinar about how to use AI copy generator tools. Say for marketers who want to improve their content creation. Oh, that's funny. I'm being asked what I'm looking for when using Storylab AI. Well, nothing much right now. Thank you very much. I want to improve their content creation process. This time I want to write in a more bold style. So once again, also here with the title generator, there's a little bit of information of how to create a better title. You've seen that the way that the input field is set up, we're actually asking you already to think strategically about what you want to accomplish with the story. With all of the information that we're giving you today, you're already able to do that, but we're just nudging you along in the process. The filter is set to the tone of voice that I want to use. Now I'm going to click Inspire Me. And once again, you see in the top left-hand corner, the AI is thinking, and it comes up with 5 really nice, ready-to-use titles that I get to select one. So supercharge your content creation with AI copy generator tools. That's nice. Unlock content creation with AI. That sounds a little bit more bold. Double your content output with AI copy generator tools. Let's say I want to use a little bit more a clickbaity title, right? But I think it's a little bit much. So let's say I want to say optimize instead. I can edit it right here in the editor, and I can say click save, and I'll find it later in my saved box right here in the beginning of my account. Right here. Actually, I can't. Oh, right here. That's stupid. Right here at the bottom, I can see the save type, and I can click title, and I can show the saved stuff. Now, back to our presentation. That concludes the demo. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys got a little sense of how Storylab AI work, how copy generation AI tools can work if you hadn't experienced them already, and also how all of the stuff that we're talking about in terms of thinking strategically about your story and talking about uh, 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 prompt engineering ties into the way we actually set up our tool and how you can actually use a tool like this. And now we're getting ready to wrap it up, guys. So it's been super fun having you guys with us. I'm super happy that you been with us and stayed with us all the way to the end. Right now, we're going to give you a quick recap, the key talking points, and we're going to give you a next step that you might want to take or not. So what have we seen, guys? We've seen that the AI revolution here. Right? We've seen that it's not a matter of when is it coming? Is it already coming soon? Is it going to impact us? No, it's right here, right now. The question is, where do we want it to take us, and where do we want to take it? Right? When everybody in the world, everybody in your business is using AI copy generators, right now, we're in the very near future. How are you going to make the difference? This has been our key question from the beginning. Now, what we've seen and what we've covered, what you've learned is we've talked about current and future trends in ethics, in storytelling, marketing, AI copy gen, and we've talked about how to address our main questions with growth storytelling. We've talked about how to use great storytelling principles and strategic thinking and copy generator tools to write smarter with the help of AI and to create great stories faster with the help of AI. And we've looked at strategies, processes to help you expand your reach and your growth. Finally, we've just went into a live demo. And as I promised, the key takeaways, what we've talked about today, guys, is how are you going to stand out from the noise in a growing, partly AI generated tidal wave of content that is coming our way regardless. Number one, key takeaway that I hope that you gather from this today is by continuously improving your storytelling. So grasping storytelling techniques and principles, using them and improving them continuously. If you so choose, you can apply the growth storytelling principles that we've shared with you today. Two, by intelligently combining human power and AI superpowers, each in their specific parts of the content creation process where they make sense, where they are able to shine. And please remember that prompt engineering actually equals thinking strategically about your story. Third key takeaway, strategically positioning and distributing the content that you have so painstakingly, but actually with the help of AI copy gen, maybe a little less painstakingly and definitely faster, you have designed and created so you can get the most bang for your buck, actually. So, with that being said, we like to welcome you to the future of storytelling, where the tools have changed, but the principles of human connection, value creation, and growth remain. It's not about AI taking over, it's about augmenting human creativity, connection, and growth with the help of technology. Going the wrong way again. Welcome to StoryLab AI, the AI-assisted growth storytelling workshop of the future. That concludes our presentation. Now, before you go, if you are inspired by the story and if you like what you've seen here and you want to see what you can do next, well, here's what you can do next. You can come over to StoryLab AI, test our platform for free, and actually help us improve it. Another thing you can do is, of course, share with your team, collaborate in sharing stories as a team, and exponentially increase your growth by increasing your reach, as we've seen from the statistics about employee advocacy. Finally, join our community right here on LinkedIn and on other social media platforms. Grow and help others grow as storytellers, as brands, and hopefully also in the slipstream of all that as human beings. Guys, as we always like to conclude everything at StoryLab AI, we truly believe there's more to your story. Let's get it out. Thank you very much for your attention and your time. So right now, this has been our Growth Storytelling AI Masterclass. Really want to thank you so much for being in this session with us and taking us, going with us on this ride. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you took a ton of value from it. We really love to hear from you. How you experienced this. And if you'd like to stick around, if you're with us live right now in the chat, and tell us a little bit about how you've experienced this. Has it been valuable to you? Are there any questions that you're still thinking about that haven't been answered? Please let us know. We'll stick around for a couple more minutes. So myself and Raul and Brian, my co-founders, are actually in the chat as well, answering questions. And as we've said, we're going to at the end of this session send you the slide deck or make it available to you through LinkedIn. Actually, for the ones following us live, you can download it there for free, and all of the resources that we are linking to from this presentation will be easily attainable and reachable for you through the slide deck. So once again, on behalf of the whole Story Lab team, thank you very much, and please let us know how you experienced this. See you soon. Bye.